What's going on, guys? Bexio back, and today we got a brand new video on Bitcoin, the recent pump in price, and so much news coming out on Bitcoin. It's not even funny. Like, we have people buying Bitcoin. We have Ted Cruz going, he's buying Bitcoin. Other countries coming involved wanting to get into Bitcoin. Russia loving Bitcoin. Fidelity loving Bitcoin. They've been mining it since 2014. So much stuff going on with Bitcoin. It's kind of crazy, and a recent pump in price. But before we get into that, if you're not subscribed, make sure to smash that sub button. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. But let's jump into this kind of news here. We got a nice little comparison to start it off. 40K Bitcoin 2 weeks ago versus 40K Bitcoin today. 2 weeks ago, 40K Bitcoin was the end of the world. Probably maybe a little bit longer than 2 weeks ago, but now it feels great. That is market sentiment. That's just how quickly everything can shift, especially with something as volatile as Bitcoin. This price was when it was falling to 40K. Now it's rallying over it, and it feels really good. So there was a lot of people calling for 10K Bitcoin as well, 20K and falling. And Peter Schiff said, "Head and shoulders, we're going to the floor. Bitcoin going to zero." And he was wrong yet again. And I think his tweet might have perfectly timed the exact bottom of Bitcoin, like he usually always does. And this is kind of where we are right now with Bitcoin. You look at the internet, and in 95, 86% of adults don't use the internet. There were still people that time saying the internet's worthless. It'll be nothing more than what the fax machine is. And I'm pretty sure none of us use a fax machine anymore. But right here, 87% of internet users don't own Bitcoin or crypto. So we're at the same about levels as 1995 in the internet. And if you could go back to 1995, you probably want to own some of these internet companies. And if you could own a piece of the internet, you'd love that. But you can own the internet companies with Bitcoin. You can own Bitcoin and be a part of this whole thing, and not to gamble on companies doing the right thing, and just think Bitcoin is going to continue progressing and moving forward. And the interest in all this is growing greatly, and we can look at this through the trends where we see 2017 it hit 100. This peak was bigger than any peak that we had in 2020, 2021. All of these peaks have nothing compared to what 2017 brought. But the biggest thing looking into this chart is we can see this kind of run up to the peak and fall back down. We see like 12, maybe 8 to 12 level. And that's basically where it was before. This 8, 12 level, this is starting to go up to the spike. And that's where it kind of sat for a long time. We had a couple spikes here, but then we see this come up here, and now it's more flatlined at 23, 30. So it's doubled, maybe tripled in interest that is holding people's interest. So it's not something that people look to blow off top, lose interest when it comes back down. We've seen Bitcoin have a nice rally, not a blow off top by any means, but it fell down and it got cut in half, and it's sustaining that interest. People are still interested to see what's going on in Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin, the news with countries adopting it, who's going into this stuff. Is Fidelity talks about Bitcoin, the SEC is all about Bitcoin ETFs. So the interest in Bitcoin is massively higher than it's ever been, and it's sustained that level. We can see it is sustaining this level from July 2021 all the way to now. It's sustained that level. So the interest in Bitcoin is already there, and it's not determined on whether or not the price is doing good, because the price obviously got cut in half, and the interest didn't go back down to these levels of 19 or 10. It's hovering at 25, 30, so it's doing a lot better. And we got McDonald's getting into the game too with Bitcoin and talking about it. So them, obviously, this was their tweet January 24th saying, how are you doing, people who run crypto Twitter accounts? And it was literally the perfect bottom for Bitcoin, the perfect bottom for it. So, you know, someone's saying shout out to McDonald's, marking the Bitcoin bottom, and then they say it's because I said we're all gonna make it. They're doing a good thing, kind of using it as marketing, free marketing and stuff. And they're doing whatever, but they did make a problem with Grimace Coin when they tried to do that and have fun with that. That was not a great look for them. But going from this, they're having fun with it. But it's interesting to see McDonald's, like a mainstream corporation, is like, oh, how are you guys doing? And then that is literally the bottom, and it's only up since then. kind of funny to see that work out. Then obviously the hash rate we got here, it's still in a good recovery, basically almost at all-time highs. We see 197.9. The all-time high is like 188.8. So pretty close to there, almost setting a new all-time high. Just shows the network keeps chugging forward. Everything is still in recovery. This long-term recovery from down at the bottom here, still moving up and to the right. Uh, Everything with Bitcoin is going great. The hash rate's growing, the adoption's growing. More countries are looking into it. There's more companies looking into it. We have more people adopting Bitcoin, senators and congressmen getting involved in Bitcoin. So a lot of things to talk about, and a lot of things that are good happening in this entirety of the space, as well as Bitcoin becoming a bigger issue for this whole like election stuff. You have to be pro Bitcoin to make yourself a better candidate in a lot of places. And with government and policies and all this stuff, we did see a bipartisan bill that would exempt Bitcoin transactions from tax of capital gains tax if they're less than $200. So obviously that's good news. People are going to be able to use Bitcoin as a currency because the one of the things holding it back is capital gains tax. Why would you spend your Bitcoin if you're going to get taxed on the gains to spend it? You might as well just hold it or spend dollars and not have to worry about it. The $200 limit, is it enough? Probably not for most people to really care about spending Bitcoin, but it's a start and somewhere to go, at least realizing that, this is being realized more as a currency, where the whole debate was it's only speculation, it's not a currency, you can't use it for things, and now it's getting treatment more similar to a currency. And we can finish this off just looking at the Bitcoin price chart. We're almost at $42,000, sniffing on the door of 42,000, but right here we're just barely above this red line to get back into this channel. Had a massive bounce here and fighting to get into this red channel, get back into it. Hopefully, these are stronger levels here, so they might be a lot harder to break through. So hopefully we get into this channel and can at least stay in here for a little bit. But I think there's been so much accumulation that's happened. Long-term buyers have been buying the dip, have been stacking Bitcoin. The whales have been stacking Bitcoin. So there's not as much supply. If we see this spike in price kind of bring a little bit of demand, then the price can continue spiking up, continue closing out shorts, liquidating shorts, pushing the price higher. So the same things we saw with Bitcoin falling from like 69K to 32K, this happened with a lot of longs getting liquidated, and now we could see the opposite. I don't think it's as heavily shorted, but there are shorts out there, so we could see price push up. And since the price pushed up, the market a lot more happy. Maybe that drives some more demand, pushes the price up just enough to kind of rally it, maybe to like 50K to liquidate shorts and get this rally up here, as well as supply on the market has been falling for quite a bit now. And could we be in a fast forward kind of this section right here where we saw this collapse, kind of consolidate to another fall down, to consolidate to a massive pump here, or ultimately to all-time highs? We see this move here, kind of this collapse here, a little bit of consolidating. It's a lot more shortened, but a little bit of consolidating, another fall down, a little bit of consolidating again, and starting this bump up. Are we in this section of this over here repeating, and are we going to see it just kind of rally to new all-time highs? It's a possibility. Obviously, the past doesn't make the dictate the future or make any moves in the future happen. So we'll see how it all plays out. But Bitcoin in a pretty good spot. People calling for 10K, not looking great right now. And the people like Peter Schiff, not looking great either, saying how Bitcoin can plummet to zero. But here we are, adoption moving forward. Fidelity loving it. SEC might be getting forced to put this Bitcoin ETF on. Like, they delayed the response on Grayscale. A lot of things just going Bitcoin's way. And regardless of what happens, adoption continue to move forward and the fundamentals continue to move forward. So as always, that's going to do it for this video. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. See you guys in my next video.